Exposing the dark reality of femicide in Turkey, this is the story that has shaken a nation. Ozunur Halil and Iqbal Uzunor, both just 19, were brutally murdered in Istanbul's historic Fatih district by their peer Semih Celik, who had a history of mental health issues. The horror didn't end there. After committing these heinous acts, Celik took his own life. This gruesome incident has ignited a firestorm of public outrage and nationwide protests. Violence against women isn't new to Turkey, but the statistics are staggering. 290 women killed this year alone. The country's 2021 withdrawal from the Istanbul Convention has only intensified the debate on women's safety and rights. Activists and human rights advocates are now renewing calls for stronger legal protections. They demand accountability, stricter laws, and better enforcement to combat this rising tide of violence. This heartbreaking event underscores a crucial need for societal change. It's time to raise our voices, support protective laws, and work towards a safer future for women everywhere. A city mourns the Istanbul tragedy. Istanbul, a city of vibrant life, is now draped in sorrow. Two young women, Ozunur Halil and Ikbal Uzunor, were brutally murdered. The killer, 19-year-old Semih Celik, later took his own life. The details of the crime are horrific, sending shockwaves throughout Turkey. Fear and anger grip the nation. This is not an isolated incident. It is a terrifying reminder of the vulnerability of women in Turkish society. The murders took place in Istanbul's Fatih district. Celik, known to have mental health issues, had reportedly threatened one of the victims before. This tragedy has ignited a firestorm of grief and outrage. Hundreds have taken to the streets demanding justice. Their cries echo across the city, a desperate plea for change. A history of violence, women under threat. Violence against women in Turkey is a deep-seated problem. It festers in the shadows of society, often silenced and ignored. The statistics are horrifying. According to a 2023 report by the We Will Stop Femicide platform, 404 women were murdered in Turkey that year. Countless others suffer in silence, victims of domestic abuse, harassment, and assault. The roots of this violence run deep, entangled with patriarchal norms and a culture of impunity. Women are often seen as lesser, their voices stifled, their rights disregarded. This ingrained inequality creates a breeding ground for violence where perpetrators act with little fear of consequence. A broken system demands for justice. The Istanbul murders have exposed the cracks in Turkey's justice system. Women's rights activists argue that existing laws are inadequate, poorly enforced, and fail to protect women. They demand stricter penalties for perpetrators, better legal protection for victims, and a justice system that truly hears their cries. The proposed 9th judicial reform package, instead of offering hope, has been met with skepticism. Critics argue that it weakens existing protections, putting women at further risk. The focus, they argue, should be on strengthening current laws and ensuring their effective implementation. Justice delayed is justice denied. Section 4. A society divided. The impact of the Istanbul Convention withdrawal. Turkey's withdrawal from the Istanbul Convention in 2021 cast a dark shadow over women's rights. This landmark treaty, aimed at preventing and combating violence against women, was a beacon of hope for many. Its withdrawal sent a chilling message, signaling a retreat from the fight for women's safety. The decision sparked widespread condemnation, both domestically and internationally. Women's rights organizations argue that the withdrawal has emboldened perpetrators and created a climate of impunity. The Istanbul murders, they say, are a tragic consequence of this dangerous backslide. Section 5. A call to action protecting women's rights. The time for words is over. The Istanbul tragedy demands action. It is a resounding call for change, a plea to confront the dark reality of violence against women in Turkey. This requires a multi-pronged approach, addressing the root causes of this violence and creating a society where women feel safe and empowered. Education is key. We must challenge harmful gender norms, promoting respect and equality from a young age. This requires a concerted effort from the government, educational institutions, and civil society. We need comprehensive sex education that teaches consent, respect, and healthy relationships. Legal reforms are crucial. We must strengthen laws protecting women from violence, ensuring that perpetrators are held accountable for their actions. This includes tougher penalties for crimes against women, better legal aid for victims, and specialized courts to handle these cases sensitively and effectively. We need a justice system that believes women, protects them, and delivers justice. But laws alone are not enough. We need a societal shift, a collective awakening to the plight of women. This requires open dialogue, challenging harmful attitudes, and supporting women's rights organizations working tirelessly on the ground. It requires men to stand up, to speak out against violence, and to be allies in the fight for equality. The murders of Ozunur and Ikbal Uzunor are a stark reminder of the work that remains to be done. Their tragic deaths must not be